Hi, welcome. I'm Amelia Bensusan, Artistic Director of Hartford Stage, and it gives me the utmost pleasure to welcome you to this very special edition of Seen and Heard Live, a truly long awaited moment for all of us. Since our theater closed in mid-March of 2020, almost a year and a half, if you round up as I do, I've wondered when this moment in time would come, and I'm thrilled today to share the news that we will be reopening in the fall, that we'll have a new season, that we will all be in person in our beloved theater on Church Street. So welcome to a very celebratory Seen and Heard. I'm delighted now to welcome on my partner, my co-CEO, my managing director, our managing director, Cynthia Ryder. Hi, Cynthia.
Thank you, Amelia. I am so delighted to be here. It is
We're a
indeed.
little giddy.
We're a little
this
giddy
is like
here
we're
at
giddy.
Hartford Stage to actually be talking about plays and a new season and all the incredible artists and audiences who are going to join us. But first, let me just take a second to thank all of you who have participated in so many different ways over this virtual year with Hartford Stage. Those of you who have listened to Seen and Heard either once or twice, or have seen every single one, a community carol, all our education programs, the incredible teaching artists that pivoted to online work with young people and teachers, and of course, everyone who made a donation to our Raise the Curtain campaign. Those donations are still coming in, $5, $15, $50, $500, a whole range. We cannot tell you that is what is making it possible for us to even consider reopening. It wouldn't be possible without you. Stanley Black & Decker, one of our wonderful corporations here in Connecticut, led the way with a major gift. You're going to see when you enter Church Street this fall that we have recognized them in our lobby and outside our theater. They have really affirmed how important Hartford Stage is to the civic, cultural, and economic life of our community. And that lead gift meant so much to us. So special thank you to them. Also to Travelers who stepped up with a large gift. They are sponsoring each of the opening nights this season. So big thank you to Travelers. Also to that's the Hartford. I'm sorry. The Hartford is our presenting opening night sponsor. Travelers is the whole season sponsor. So I got them backwards, but believe me, they are not interchangeable. They are every one of them so important to us. And we're still in the midst of our $1 million matching challenge. So gifts made up until June 30th will help us qualify for that $1 million. That is really going a long way. So thanks to all of you who have already contributed. And if you haven't already, please mail in your check, go to hartfordstage.org. We're so grateful to all of you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think I now have to quiet my AC. You hear that? No, it's not so bad.
It's not bothering me.
All right. I'll put in the chat if the AC is making you crazy, I can shut it off. It's not a problem. But to get back to Cynthia's wonderful remarks, we are so grateful to all of you. Every Seen and Heard, I started by talking about the pain of our industry and the losses suffered by our artists. And here I get to just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we reveal next season's titles, which is why I know you're all here, besides, you miss us because we didn't do one of these in May. So I want to start, as we have with all our Seen and Heards, or most of our Seen and Heards, a tradition of starting with an excerpt from a play. So we have a very special scene for you tonight, and made extra special because there's much to celebrate this evening. And one of the things we want to note is the graduating class from University of Hartford, the wonderful Hart School of Theater, our close collaborators. And I just have a particular affection for this class. Here they are. This is the class of 20 and 21 celebrating at Hartford Stage. They had their graduation. We were so thrilled to be able to be part of that. And this strange year has made us in a way closer. because I feel like they have been our informal acting company for Seen and Heard these fourth years at Heart. So I'm going to welcome them on now to read our scene. Here they come. So Christopher Andrew Rowe, Aaron Proctor, Dana Tatora. I just am so proud of all of you. I also want to do a small plug. Their work is visible on our website. They made an extraordinary video showcase. It's short, it's like 40 some minutes, and every scene shines, and it's these kids. So it's wonderful watching. So go to our website, watch that. Not right now. Dana, Aaron, Christopher, Mazel Tov on graduating. You're now bachelors of your fine arts. And I'm going to hand it over to you for the scene. We're all listening avidly, raptly.
Tommy, come back here and finish your milk.
I'm full, Ma.
Well, spring isn't everything, is it, Essie? There's a lot to be said for autumn. That's got beauty too. And winter, if you're together.
15 minutes to air, Mr. Lawrence, Mr. Haywood, Miss Applewhite, Miss Sherwood, Mr. Fillmore. This is your 15-minute call. 15 minutes to air.
Wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas. Good night.
What a dump.
You can't pull off that line in a place that goes for $500 a night.
Now you just showing off.
Ladies and gentlemen from New York, it's Aladdin.
Growing up, my mother had this fear I was becoming too Americanized. In this America? Is this America?
I hate coming here. Don't you?
It's so hot. I'm so hot.
I'd hate coming here if it was cool.
It's called music, Mama.
And don't forget.
Shh, don't say it. We're not announcing that one yet.
And one more exciting show to be announced.
So that, right? Thank you. Brilliantly done. So, folks watching, that was a compendium of lines from the plays we are about to tell you about. So, Aaron, Dana, Christopher, thank you. Thank you. We'll see you at the end for our poem reading. So, don't go away. Thank you for being with us. Yeah, we thought, you're going to have to think over some of those, see what resonates. And if you can name any of those titles right now, I'll be really impressed. But try to match them as we go through. Over the past 15 months, Hartford Stage and all of us at Hartford Stage have been in the midst of a transformation. Things will look and feel a little different next season, as the past year has affected so many aspects of our industry and our daily lives, from communal gathering expectations to the acknowledgement and awareness of the continued racial injustice so many of our community members still face. You're going to notice us stretching ourselves in new directions, learning more about our local history, and finding ways to acknowledge the debt we owe to so many in our nation. Our local history leads us down this path as well. That speaks to the land acknowledgement slide you saw at the beginning of this broadcast, something that we haven't done in the past. But as we say in that acknowledgement, we're on a journey towards a greater reconciliation with our past and with our history. And so we hope you'll join us on that journey. We enter into this reopening, reawakened with open eyes and open minds and definitely open hearts. Throughout this year, we've been looking for ways to connect and have had to find new ways. We've had the privilege of spending time listening and getting to know our audiences. So grateful to those of you who've come to Seen and Heard and who corresponded with me before and after these episodes, to know that we're still in touch. We've learned more about the multitude of backgrounds and points of view in our community. And we do hope that you see that reflected in the diversity of voices and stories we've selected. But one overriding principle to this coming season is joy. Optimism and joy are what we long for next season. And to remind ourselves all year that this reopening is a celebration, that we cannot take our theater for granted, nor each other. So we're not only celebrating the return of the theater, but the resiliency and strength of our community. So here we go. Okay, Cynthia, you want to start us off?
Yes, I get
feel
to
like
start
I should
off
do a drum roll, right?
because
Drum
this
roll.
very first show is going to be directed by our beloved artistic director, Vimelia. So our very first play to start this season is going to be the play that was supposed to close Millie and my first season here, A Wilderness by Eugene O'Neill. This is a play that I love. When I was interviewing for this position to come here, this play was announced, and it was one of the reasons I knew this was a theater I would be very happy and proud to work at. So Amelia, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about A Wilderness. I think lots of theater goers know Eugene O'Neill, but they probably or likely don't know A Wilderness. It's not produced a lot or as much as his other plays, but tell us, what are you most excited about for A Wilderness?
You know, I have been dreaming and thinking of this production for
I know you have.
So I think I've already done it in my head. No, I'm kidding. I'm so, you know what I'm looking forward to most, I think, is the energy that comes from rediscovering a voice that you think you know. So we think we know Eugene O'Neill, and we know him principally as a dramatist of great pain, right? His autobiographical works, and Long Day's Journey, and even Moon for the Misbegotten. Well, all of them, right? Even the Greek interpretations, The Morning Becomes Electra. There's a great sense of suffering and historical guilt and responsibility and failure within families. A Wilderness is a dream play. In the sense that it's what he dreams a family could be. It aspires to the kind of joy and optimism we're talking about. So it's a way of sort of seeing O'Neill through, oh, this is fun. I can enjoy it, but it still has the same intelligence, the same rigor, the same love of language and culture and poetry that exists in his other plays. And I'll also say go ahead. No.
I was going to say that I love that too. I love that. I think Eugene O'Neill is a great realist about the suffering that exists within individuals and families. And A Wilderness doesn't hide that. There is suffering, and there are mistakes, and there are failures, but it's how people respond with a kind of grace, mercy, and humor.
That's it.
That is the flip that makes this play funny and affirming. And I love that. What do you hope that audiences take away when they come to see this?
So this will be a production with live music. The actors will also be singing music of the period, but the music of that period, as well as the casting, the world of the play, will be done through a more contemporary lens. That's not to say contemporary clothing. It's to say a contemporary understanding of how much the American family is a diverse and welcoming and multicultural enterprise at this point in our history. So it's a way of sort of saying any voice can own this play, right? Here's this great American playwright known for a very white, Irish, Connecticut world. And we're going to take it and keep all of that, but add to it what it is we know now about our culture and our families. It should be a real celebration to open our theater, and it celebrates imagination. It celebrates poetry. It celebrates transcendence, right? And what you said is right. We should do a reading. If any of you are game, make sure you write me that we should do a reading of Long Day's Journey in conjunction with the production of A Wilderness, because it's the same family structure in many ways, and it's the same exact house, but it's what you said, Cynthia. There's mercy, there's forgiveness, whereas in Long Day's Journey, those are missing. So it should be a great party. That's really my aim here.
So I don't want you to give anything away, but I want you to tell us just one moment in the play that you are particularly looking forward to?
I think there's a moment, which I'm not going to tell you when it is because it'll give too much away. But there's a moment after a lot of busyness and drama, and it's resolved and things are okay. And then there is a moment between two people that just has stayed with me since I read the play, of two people really seeing the best in each other and sharing a moment of such love and understanding. And it's a quiet moment in the midst of what will be a lot of music and moving and conflict and angst, adolescent angst, fun adolescent angst, and then it all settles. And I think what I hope that all of you will share with me is that moment where we breathe with them and we feel that same appreciation for the relationships and connections in our lives that get us through. And it's the simple connection between two people with beautiful words on stage and all of us hearing those together that I can't wait to experience with all of you.
Beautiful. I could spend this whole hour talking about Awe Wilderness, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
We're going to
not
move
gonna do
on
that.
now. And Millie's going to tell us about the second show, which is one of the new plays and one of the most exciting new plays I've read in a long time. Amelia.
I know. Thank you. I'm really excited about this. I read once, I've shared this with some of you previously. I think it's Samuel Johnson said, you have to know whether you're a guest or a host in life. And it's important to know the difference. And I have to say, this season, I finally get to really host people in our building, and I'm just thrilled to do that. So next up in our subscription series will be a play that we we never really announced the next season. So we had talked about this play. So some of you have heard me speak of how much those of us on the staff love it, and you will too. It's called Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous. It's by extraordinary playwright Pearl Cleage, and it's directed by Susan Booth. And in planning this season, I realized besides joy and optimism, which really, honestly, were guiding principles, we're also centering and celebrating collaboration and long creative relationships. In each of the artistic teams of the shows that we're going to talk about now, there's a deep connection between the artists, either years of working together, in some cases romantic as well as professional relationships. So it's really celebrating the communication between artists and how that enriches the work. You're about to meet Pearl and Susan. They worked together for over a decade. Susan directed the premiere of Angry, Raucous, and Shamelessly Gorgeous. We're thrilled to have them both to come to Hartford for the play's only second production ever and its Northeast premiere. And Scott, can you play our little video interview with Susan and Pearl? Can you share with our great Hartford stage audiences, what's one moment from Angry, Raucous, Shamelessly Gorgeous you can't wait to have people experience?
That's a hard one.
Right?
But
There's a
I
lot.
think that,
I have
yeah,
one.
I think the first kind of meeting between the very young woman, Pete, and the older woman, Anna, who is a international diva, and who is about 65, and she is coming up against the next and next and next generation down, because Pete's only 25. And I think just their initial cannot figure out a way to talk to each other, can't figure out the language to talk to each other. I really enjoy that moment because I know that moment. I know that from both sides. So it's really wonderful to see that moment of trying to figure out, how do you talk to a 25-year-old who knows everything, and how do they talk to us who also think we know everything. So it's that moment, I think, is a good one that a lot of people respond to.
And that is a moment that speaks volumes for the rest of the play, in terms of two African-American women who are artists, who each view themselves as an activist, who think they're each very progressive, and these two different perspectives on all those questions, right?
I when I read the piece originally, there was a particular line that I enjoyed so much that I took my script in hand and I went up and down the hallway of the offices, and I just interrupted people's meetings and phone calls, and I said, listen to this, listen to this. And it was actually the young woman in the piece who's talking about a woman named Nina Hartley, who is kind of a role model for her. And the way that she describes Nina Hartley is, she's like the Harriet Tubman of the adult film industry. No one's ever written that combination of words before.
I think that's the thing that was so much fun about that, is that Pete comes from a different world. You know, she comes from adult entertainment. So the kinds of things that she's saying are shocking to people who have not been involved in that, who don't know Nina Hartley, who don't know any of what is going on in that world. But I think that one of the things that I really love about this play, and that we've had such a good time working on it, is that it's funny. That
Yeah.
it started off coming from a place several years ago when I started working on it, when I was really mad about a lot of stuff in our country. Our country was not behaving in the way I wanted it to. And I took it personal. I was really mad about that. So I wrote several drafts of several really angry plays. And I realized I don't want to be angry all the time. Some stuff is still funny to me. Some things still make me laugh. And I really wanted to be able to look at serious things, because the play does have serious things going on, but it also has a lot of laughter, because that was what I was trying to do for myself, to say, you know, what's still funny to you? What makes you laugh? And then once I got that kind of going, and it also made Susan laugh, which meant we were both thinking about and laughing and responding to the same things, that it really, I think, is part of the reason why I'm so happy that you all are reopening with this play, because it's an energy that we're going to need to go through all of the difficult times that our country is going through, and we're going to go through, because that's what countries do when they try to figure out who they are. But I think that one of the things that I'm really pleased about is that this particular play, that came out of a desire to find joy in something, joy in struggle, joy in sisterhood, all of that, is going to be what reopens your place. So we're really excited about coming to Hartford.
All right, Angry Raucous and Shamelessly Gorgeous. I cannot wait to have Susan
Yeah.
Booth and Pearl Cleage here working
They're
on
going
this
to be
wonderful
fun company.
play. So our next play is also a brand new play called Dishwasher Dreams by comedian, actor, and playwright Alauddin Ullah, and it's directed by a wonderful director who I've had the joy of seeing some of his work, Che Yu. So Melia, can you introduce us to this piece?
Yeah. This just makes me giddy too, because you're about, and you'll see why, you're about to meet Alauddin Ullah, a stand-up comic turned playwright who will be performing this autobiographical piece accompanied by an amazing tabla percussionist, Che Yu, who is, as Cynthia mentioned, I mean, he's one of our country's leading directors, and he's at the helm. And this pair has also been at work together on this piece for a few years. It's Che who really helped Alauddin turn this into a play, and it really is a play. It's an event to watch Alauddin tell the story of his father's immigration from Bangladesh to Spanish Harlem. I didn't know very much about the community of South Asians and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans who lived in Spanish Harlem in the 30s and 40s. We're going to hear great stories about all of that. And I'll turn it over to them. You'll hear a little bit more about the production from them. So thank you, Scott. When you both envision it in this theater, is there a moment that you look forward to next season when we get to stage this wonderful piece?
Well, it's just an honor to return to live performance. So for me as a performer, I really miss, being in front of a live audience and that experience of sharing with an audience. And I know that Hartford has an audience unique unto its own in that own community, which I'm really looking forward to. And also being a huge Yankee fan, I know there's a lot of Yankee fans in Hartford as well. So, you know, the connection to live theater is very much like going to see a ball game, but just, you know, sharing this community, sharing, you know, laughter, sharing grief, sharing discovery, and sharing what it's like to be a child of immigrants. And so that discovery is the journey that I want to share with the audience. And I can't wait to, you know, be in front of a live audience again. It just gets me excited and inspired to know that there's an audience that we can connect with once again.
We can't wait to welcome you and take you to the Dunkin' Donuts ballpark. We will be sure
Yeah,
to include some baseball trips while you're with us. Che, I've admired your work for so many years that to be artistic director and to get to welcome you as a director into this theater is really a privilege. So welcome.
Thank you. And I'm so excited that you're taking helm of this beautiful, wonderful theater and its legacy. I can think of a better person than you who believe not only in American stories, but stories that affirm our humanity, and especially embracing of communities. I'm sure this new chapter is a great chapter, not only for Hartford, but also for you. We're glad to be in your first season.
That you're making me blush, and I'm so grateful for your words. What's a moment you look forward to, Che? I mean, and your sense of vision and sound and music, right? It just expands this work so much.
Well, there are many moments, but I think what is particular to this very moment coming out of the pandemic is for us to again sit together. And I think Aladdin's beautiful play actually also allows us to, well, breathe together as one, when we've breathed alone for so long for the last year, and also to laugh and to cry and to identify the beautiful things that Aladdin's saying about this beautiful country that has opened its gates to a lot of people. There's more work to be done, of course, but I think the promise of finding a home in this country, figuring out who we are in this country, our ever-changing identity is profound. And this beautiful play basically speaks not only to a specific community, but to many, many, many communities.
Yeah.
I'm glad that this is the fire we're coming back to so that he can tell us this beautiful story of what it is to be an American.
And you know, with the Zoom, you know, we've entered sort of a new realm in society. When I was a very young comedian, it's in the show. You know, I met George Carlin, and George Carlin was such a hero of mine. And I remember he told me, you know, years ago that stand-up comedy is one of the few art forms that you need an audience to respond to. A comedian can't work without an audience in order to hear the laughter. So, I mean, I know it sounds simplistic, but I really miss laughter and that response that's so part of theater. And our show is with a tabla player who is an incredible percussionist. So just to hear music and laughter and movement and the audience sharing with that, I don't mean to sound simplistic, man, but I really miss that. I've been trapped in this Zoom room. I'm just so excited to just hear laughter again. And, you know, as a comedian, we're trained, like you wait for the laughs to go to the back of the room, come back to the room, and then you start again. That hasn't happened to me in a long time. I really do miss that.
Oh, well, clearly in the chat, if you're following, we got a lot of baseball fans among the theater fans. So yes, go Yard Goats. But Aladdin's Yankees comment led us to a great conversation. We love our neighbors at the Yard Goats.
We edited a moment in the video where Che he was trying to figure out like how to get Aladdin in the ballpark, and he was like, well, you could throw, what is it that they do? They throw the first pitch? Is that what they do? It was like the sports fan, the lifetime, you know,
right, lifetime baseball Yankees fan, yes. Not so much.
We will have a lot of that.
So we're going to go to the next one, Melia. Tell us our next exciting title.
So you've seen some new plays and you've seen a very old play. We're balancing things out here. There's a range for everyone, we hope. I mean, a range of plays to suit everyone. So come for all of them, of course. But this next title, oh, I just saw something in the chat. Okay, I have to shut off the chat. The Red Sox Yankee stuff is starting to really heat up here. Okay. I have to not look at the chat, you all. The next title also reflects a bit on the immigrant experience, and it's from a playwright who we don't always associate with the immigrant experience, but his greatest plays, I think, have captured that. We're going to be doing a production of Lost in Yonkers by Neil Simon, starring Neil Simon's longtime partner and collaborator, Marsha Mason. So we're very excited about this. Marsha, as you're about to see, is very excited about doing a production in her home state of Connecticut, and she will be co-directing it alongside our own Rachel Alderman. So The World of Lost in Yonkers, the only play of Neil Simon's that won the Pulitzer and the Tony, I believe. Here we go. You're the driving force behind this production of Lost in Yonkers. So why this play now? Why did you want to do this play now?
Well, I wanted to do this play because I love the character of the grandmother, and it's a wonderful challenge for me, and I really wanted to do it, and also because I think it's one of Neil's best plays, obviously, and I would really like to steward it in a proper and wonderful way. Because I think that sometimes people think of him more as a joke master than a really good playwright. But this play, I think, proves that he had much more to give as a writer than what a lot of people have just sort of accepted. What I also love about the play is it's about an immigrant family. It's about a Jewish immigrant family, and it's also at the beginning of a World War II. And so there's a lot of basic human frailty, difficulty, conflicts that I think in terms of immigrant families and how they think or how they react to things. And I think that in the time that we live now, especially, it would be really helpful to be reminded that America was built on
Right.
immigrant family. And then there's this wonderful joy in the personalities of these two boys that I just think is really heartfelt. And the characters are so colorful. All of them are just so wonderfully colorful and idiosyncratic and complex.
It's
Go
all
ahead,
about
Rachel.
it's
Yeah.
all about resiliency and how they use their strengths to survive, whether it's through comedy or through grit, or through imagination. There's so many different tools that this family uses to get by and to get through, and I recognize these people. I know these people. I shared with Marsha a picture of my great uncle at his candy store in Brooklyn, and it's just, I mean, this is
It's
family.
their world.
It's their
Yeah.
world, and that's where my father learned how to make ice cream shakes, and stole probably some ice cream as well, just like Artie
Right.
and Jay in the story. And the comedy comes from a place of need, and it comes from a place of yearning and connection, and also that just this I will survive.
It's
Beautiful.
It's a lot of good stories.
Such a great story. And I know people are going to really look forward to seeing Marsha Mason on stage and
Yeah.
filming this production along with our Rachel Alderman. So it's really exciting. We have one other show in our subscription series that we're going to be announcing as well.
Can I just,
but
I
no,
just
but
want to
no,
say
wait.
just a little, I just want to give a hint.
No,
That's our relationship.
no, we have to wait. So we're going to
Someone
build
has
the
to have
suspense.
boundaries. Okay.
And know that we have another announcement coming a little bit later in the summer of that show. So those are 4 of the 5 subscription shows. Know that you have another announcement to look forward to, and Amelia
Yeah.
will be dying to tell you as
Ah!
soon as possible. But we also want to be sure you know that we, of course, have an annual holiday offering. This year, we have the beloved tradition of A Christmas Carol, but this year we are not going to be doing A Christmas Carol. We have another classic in store for you. We're going to be doing It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play adapted by Joe Landry and co-directed by Amelia and Rachel, working together as directors at Hartford Stage for the first time. So we are thrilled about that. And so you'll get to hear a little bit more about that now.
I was going to add, oh, there we go.
Oh.
Good. No, go. Better.
Rachel, what excites you about our doing It's a Wonderful Life?
The thing I've been thinking about most recently is that the fact that it's in the style of a radio play, and that we're doing it live in front of our audience, the actual show, the structure of the adaptation itself celebrates live theater while we tell this wonderful holiday story.
Right.
So we get the double layer of coming out of this pandemic and getting to celebrate the art of storytelling and this classic story at the same time with people that we haven't had a chance to sit in a theater with together for way too long. So I'm really excited about that.
Joe, what was your inspiration to turn it into a sort of live radio play version of this? What was originally a short story, then a screenplay, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. It was, and my first adaptation of this was actually not a radio play version. It was a full stage version, and then the radio version came a few years later. And realizing that the I've always been into classic movies, and then I also really got into classic radio and realized that this story was at the same time of sort of the height of the golden age of radio. So I was like, oh, maybe this would work well, because it was originally written for a high school, so it, cast size was of no concern. So it was like, but then you get to other possibilities, and it's sort of like, oh yeah, we can't do it past 26 or whatever. So it's like, okay, here's a way to do a larger story in a smaller and more unique way, I think. And I really do love the layers of it. The layer that there's the radio play itself, and then there's the story underneath, and as you were just saying, that the liveness of it, like × 2 almost, where it's like it's live and then it's also happening live within it. It just makes you more present in the experience. So the radio play adaptation premiered in Stanford in the 90s, and so this has been a part of my life for more than half my life at this point. And then it got published a handful of years ago, and it's just, the experience has been amazing. But I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to work with Hartford Stage on this.
Right, because we're going to make kind of a new thing out of this great thing, right? We'll make it, Joe, Rachel, and I are working on how incredibly Hartford specific this story can be, while of course retaining all the structure and bones of the original. So it's exciting to think about how this can be about our community as much as it was about George Bailey's community.
There's a lot happening at Hartford Stage next year. Not that we've been quiet this year, but at least we'll return full force and get to see all of you in person. I'm so excited about all that's ahead, and the title I'm not allowed to tell you yet. But this is in addition, of course, to all the work we plan to keep doing in the community. And I would say, one of the things we've most contributed historically to Hartford, and definitely during this pandemic year, are our education program. So I'm gonna ask Jennifer Roberts to come on, our extraordinary Director of Education. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you're doing. Can you tell us some of the things that education is up to, not just next season, but right now and this summer?
Yeah, so we are so excited to reopen our in-person programs. We spent this year really taking a lot of our programs online, and we're really proud of what we were able to accomplish. Even not being able to send teaching artists into schools, we still were in almost 100 classrooms virtually. We ran tons of classes for kids and adults, but we are so happy to say that this summer we're going to be together again in person. So our summer studio begins in just a few weeks. It's a summer, it's a 6-week theater camp for ages 5 through teens, 5 through 18. And we'll be in person. We're streaming our performances, but kids will be, together, having the chance to work together to tell these stories and find creative ways to tell them as we record and stream. So we're really excited about that. We also are thrilled to say that our Breakdancing Shakespeare program is back this summer after hiatus.
Yeah, so happy about that.
Took last year, we had to put it on hold last summer, but we are back. We are doing a production of Love's Labor's Lost, which is a play about a self-imposed quarantine.
Right.
And so we feel like this is a pretty timely story.
It's a really good choice. I love
students. Yeah. So we have a busy summer, and then we're looking towards next year. We're really hoping and thinking that we'll be back in schools in person next year. So we'll be back with all of our classroom programs, like Connections, our literacy program, bringing our school year programs back. And of course, our adult classes have been going on this whole time virtually, but we'll start bringing those back in person too. So,
and those have been really popular, right? I mean, it's kind of been, I think we've just needed,
I think I think people have been so eager to connect, even in this imperfect way over Zoom.
Yeah.
And, for our adults particularly, we found that the convenience of being able to do, well, really like to not have to get to Hartford after a long day of work, and for some people, it was just the push they needed to try something they'd been wanting to try all along. And I think even over Zoom, people were able to make such connections with other people and really found it a social, creative experience.
Right.
And so I think we've got a lot of new students who are excited to see what we're doing up to next. So
it shows we need theater. We keep needing theater. Jen, thank you for all this hard work. And thanks to the amazing education staff. Everyone's been working such long days.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer, and to all our teaching artists and education staff who are working so hard to make sure we are able to offer these programs this summer for kids and adults of all ages. We are so happy that the theater is reopening and they were talking about this. I want to let all of you single ticket buyers, loyal subscribers, people who are considering subscribing, all of you who are already subscribers are going to be getting an email in order to renew your subscription. Some of you already renewed for last year, which didn't happen, and you let us keep your subscription active to be used next year. So you'll be getting communication via email, and then watch your mail in about a week, just about a week. The letters and renewals are going to be put in the mail in the next few days. So you'll have that opportunity as well. So keep your eye open, or just go on the website and you'll be able to see after this show, things will be live. So many things happening. In addition to the show, there's a lot of community oriented events. So Amelia, give us a little teaser on some of those.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot going on right now too, right? Because, we had to keep going. We kept going, and you've been there with us. So I want to make sure that you know about our American Voices Festival. We are going to be having a weekend of readings, and they're really good. And the readings are really good. And I am not a fan. I've got to tell you, I have Zoom fatigue. So watching things online is exhausting to me. But this new play festival, and thank you, Scott, for the slide. These 3 plays, we'll do a sort of a version of A Seen and Heard with the playwrights on Wednesday, the 23rd. I think it's 7, I think is our launch. All the information's on the website. And then the plays are going to be Thursday and Friday at 7, and Saturday at 3 is Kyokina play, which is really for intergenerational, for family viewing. It's in sort of in the style of a Brothers Grimm story. It involves shadow puppets. It's just beautiful and very moving, deals with serious subjects, but kids can handle the serious subjects, especially when done with such grace and wit. So I really encourage you. Martine Zimmerman's play, Simona's Search, which we had previously announced that is still something we are committed to producing, and it's a really wonderful version of it, a reading of it with 3 extraordinary actors. That will be Thursday at 7. And then her math play, an exploration of a mother-daughter relationship through the lens of one being an artist and one being a math professor, frustrated by her inability to really link her gifts for math with her life. They're very moving plays. One playwright is Argentinian ancestry, one is of Cuban ancestry, and one is Mexican ancestry. So it really speaks to the diversity of voices, even in the phrase Latinx. Next week, there's a lot. So it's on the webpage, but I need to share this. Next week, next Thursday, the 17th, I hope you can join us. We're celebrating local artist, producer, creator, Jasmine Agosto and her Sage Seeker Productions. You can find a link. She made a film in collaboration with Long Wharf. We really want to amplify the work that she's been doing with local artists. And we're going to have a conversation with them on the 17th to hear about their process and get your thoughts. Try to watch the film. Again, all is on our website. And also a shout out and a celebration of Sin Martinez, another local playwright whose play is receiving a wonderful reading / production virtually at TheaterWorks. So we're really spending this month amplifying these voices of American artists with Latinx roots. I also will say that as part of next season, we'll have a big open house in mid-September and welcome everyone to the theater. So stay tuned for that date. We haven't set it, but we hope to have a big indoor-outdoor event. We expect that you'll get to meet the cast of Wilderness at that time and learn a little bit more about that show. We'll have everyone in residence then. There'll be, of course, community dinners, community opening night, cocktail parties, gatherings with local artists to further build the connections that we've begun through this pandemic, musical performances in our lobby before and after shows. We hope stay tuned for news about Cuatro Puntos performing outside this summer in conjunction with us, which brings me to to wanting to celebrate also the partnerships we've built through this pandemic and finding more ways to partner with Christ Church Cathedral, Capital Community College, University of Hartford, the Hart School, the Hartford Public Library, and with other arts organizations and artists in our area. We're starting a new collaboration with Connecticut Public Broadcasting for radio plays. So stay tuned for more about that. It was 1 year ago today that we hosted, literally the 10th of June, we hosted a Seen and Heard called Building Our Block to discuss and celebrate all that is possible in our downtown campus with our neighbors. So what a wonderful thing to be able to announce our reopening on that anniversary. And we're actually on time. Cynthia, we're on time.
Doing great.
I can't believe it. Well, so if you've been to Seen and Heard before, you know we like to end with a poem and a collective reading. If I can ask our readers of the poem to turn on their cameras now, see if everybody's here. I'll introduce you to some of our core family members. Past President Sue Ann Collins, Life Director of the Board, George Ingram, Governing Director on our board, Rick Costello, Governing Director Marilda Gandara, bienvenida. our general manager, Emily Van Scoy, who, thank you, Emily. She prefers usually to be behind the scenes. Our management associate, who's also been our Zoom engineer through so many of these, Scott Bartleson, and our 3 wonderful Hart grads. Thank you all for joining in a poem called For a New Beginning by John O'Donohue. Is George, there we go.
Here we are.
Thank you, George.
In out-of-the-way places of the heart, where your thoughts never think to wander, this beginning has been quietly forming, waiting until you were ready to emerge.
For a long time, it has watched your desire, feeling the emptiness growing inside you, noticing how you willed yourself on, still unable to leave what you had outgrown.
It watched you play with the seduction of safety and the gray promises that sameness whispered.
Heard the waves of turmoil rise and relent, wondered, would you always live like this?
And a delight when your courage kindled and out you stepped onto new ground, your eyes young again with energy and dream, a path of plenitude opening before you.
Though your destination is not yet clear, you can trust the promise of this opening.
Why don't you keep going, Rick?
Unfurl yourself into the grace of beginning that is at one with your life's desire.
Awaken your spirit to adventure. Hold nothing back. Learn to find ease in risk.
Soon you will. Oh, go ahead. Go.
For your soul senses the world that awaits you.
Beautiful. Thank you all. And now, will you let Scott, right? We're going to do a toast.
Yeah, if you'd like to come on for our closing toast, please raise your hand, use the raise a hand feature, and we will bring you on.
Thank you, readers. We have so much to toast to this time. Welcome as we all come on. We want to celebrate all that everyone has gotten through and that we are at this moment. Yeah, everybody more or less here. Okay, so all right, so join me, unmute everybody if you don't mind. Soon we'll be in person, we won't have to go through all this rigmarole, but for now, we raise a glass, right, to reopening, to revitalizing, to renewing, to celebrating. What? I thought I heard speak. Field, yes.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Everybody.
Reopening. How to reopen.
The grand reopening.
See you.
Hartford's Day. Hartford's Day.
See you in the lobby. See you in the theater. Thank you for joining
Robert,
us.
so good to see you. So good to see
at
all
all
of
those beautiful faces.
Great to see
you. I'll see you tomorrow, Cynthia.
Okay, yes, you will see me tomorrow.
Thank you all for joining us.
Good night, everyone.
See you at the theater.
Night.
See you soon.
Good night. See you very soon.
Thank you, Hart grads.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations,
Thank you
graduates.
all. George, the hat, it's great.
That is the hat of the ghost of Christmas yet to come. The iguana is Iggy from the night of.
Oh, fantastic.
You were ready.
Good night.